about all the other champions in that division? You got Scott Quinn, Carl Frampton, Guillermo Rigondeaux.
I'm gonna get the opportunity, boy. You broken your ass up, don't you?
Hey, that's what we do. That's what we do.
There's Boxing Nation. I see it, baby. Y'all the man.
That's what it is.
I love it. I love what you're doing for boxing.
Thank you, man.
Don't stop. Keep on going strong. Keep on going hard. A lot of big fights coming this year. A lot of big fights.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Man, I just got done watching a hell of a fight. I don't even know where to start when it comes to this fight, man. I guess I'll start with saying congratulations to Robert Easter Jr. This man is no damn joke. And when I say Robert Easter is no joke, because he had to go through hell to beat one of the most determined, one of the most durable, one of the most skilled fighters in the lightweight division, and that is Richard COMMEY. This is a candidate for Fight of the Year. It was back and forth competitive action. I want people to understand, you know, it's easy for two fighters that aren't that skilled to just throw punches at each other and they're both getting hit. That's typical. That's something you see all the time, right? I mean, you could see that at the liquor store. You could see two drunk, you know, winos in the front of the liquor store doing that, right? You could see two clowns at a club just throwing punches and both of them are getting hit. But when you see people doing it with the high IQ, with technique, with skill, with rhythm, with coordination, when you see them do it with this level of intelligence, that makes it that much more impressive. You're doing it at the highest level, right? That's why this fight was so impressive. Going into this fight, I didn't know a lot about Richard COMMEY. All I knew is he was from Ghana. I knew that he was a power puncher. I knew he had a very high knockout ratio, and I knew he was undefeated. That's all I knew about Richard COMMEY. When it came to Robert Easter, I knew a lot more about Robert Easter because I've been following him very closely. And, you know, when I seen him annihilate Argenis Mendez the way he did it, I was really impressed, and I said, this guy right here has a very bright future in the sport of boxing. And I favored, you know, going into this fight, I favored him to win this fight. I felt not only would he win this fight, but he would do it in a very dominant fashion, a very impressive fashion, right? It turned out it was an impressive performance by Robert Easter, but it wasn't a dominant performance. And you have to attribute that to how good Richard COMMEY was or is, right? I mean, the whole thing is, when you look at Richard COMMEY, and I had a couple people say, you know, he's a power puncher, but he kind of swings wide. So going into this fight, I'm expecting Richard COMMEY to be this wild, swinging, flat-footed, one-dimensional fighter. Man, I could not have been more wrong, because Richard COMMEY, he was in there boxing. In some rounds, he was actually outboxing the boxer Robert Easter. I mean, his right hand was so unpredictable. He was able to counter Robert Easter pretty much the whole night with that sneaky ass right hand that he had. And it was a powerful right hand. And he would throw it different ways. I mean, basically he was countering Robert Easter's jab the entire night. He would counter the jab with that overhand right. Sometimes he would surprise Robert Easter and he would throw a lead right hand and he would land it. Now, and it looked like Robert Easter, he started to adjust and he kind of took away the right hand in the middle of the fight, right? In the middle rounds, I should say. But then later on, that right hand found its target in those later rounds. And Richard COMMEY, he started landing it again. Matter of fact, he ended up landing a picture perfect counter right hand. You know, it's interesting because The sequence was very reminiscent of Manny Pacquiao when he got knocked out by Marquez. If you guys remember, in that knockout sequence, Manny Pacquiao, he was coming in with feints. He was coming in stutter step, and he was feigning with the jab. He was trying to set up his big left hand. But before he could get that left hand off, Marquez, he caught him with a perfect counter right hand. This is pretty much exactly what happened to Robert Easter when they ruled it as a knockdown. Robert Easter was coming in with feints. He tried to come in with a quick 1-2, and before he could get that 1-2 off, Richard COMMEY, he timed Robert with a perfect right hand that kind of stunned Robert Easter. But this just shows you the durability, the toughness of Robert Easter, and his chin, of course, obviously, right? Because Robert Easter, he buckled, and the referee didn't really catch this because the referee ruled it as a knockdown, but Robert Easter, he buckled, but his glove never touched the canvas. So technically, that really wasn't supposed to be a knockdown, but they ruled it as one. But once again, this just goes to show you how tough Robert Easter is. You guys have to understand, he wasn't just getting hit by some, this wasn't some cherry-picked easy opponent, okay? This wasn't just a journeyman that was in the ring with Robert Easter and it was supposed to be just regular business in the office as usual. It wasn't that type of situation. Robert Easter got clocked with a power puncher, an undefeated, hungry, determined contender, okay, to win this vacant belt. And he caught Robert Easter with a perfect right hand. And you could see he had all the power in it when he threw it, Richard COMMEY. And Robert Easter, to his credit, he took that shot. He ate that right hand. And he came right back and he was ready to retaliate. And right after the referee did the standing 8 count, Robert Easter, he came back and he landed a huge right hand on Richard COMMEY in the same round. And then you fast forward to the last round, then that's when Robert Easter got his payback. All of a sudden, he catches COMMEY with a picture-perfect right hand that buckles Richard COMMEY. And Richard COMMEY's knees come inches from touching the canvas and it being ruled an actual knockdown. So I was really, really impressed, man. I was impressed with both fighters. Richard COMMEY, I mean, this fight was so competitive that there was really no loser. There was really no loser when it comes to this fight. Of course, there's a blemish on COMMEY's resume, but there was really no loser in this fight. And I'm telling you guys right now, despite COMMEY losing this fight, I truly believe after what I just witnessed, I believe that Richard COMMEY is most likely the best fighter from Ghana since Ike Quartey. I truly believe that. Do you guys know that Richard COMMEY only has 12 amateur fights? He only has 12 amateur fights. And Robert Easter was an Olympic alternate for the 2012 Olympics. Okay? That just goes to show you the type of experience that Robert Easter has, of course, compared to what Richard COMMEY has. So I was really impressed with both fighters. This is how you gauge how good a fighter really is, when you see him dealing with this amount of adversity. In one fight, we got to see what type of heart Robert Easter has, what type of durability, what type of chin he has, and how he deals with pressure of a guy that is extremely defiant. How do you deal with resistance, right? Do you have a plan A, B, C? When things are not going your way in the first couple rounds, can you switch it up and come up with a new game plan? Adversity. How do you deal with adversity? We got to see all of those things in this fight right here. Robert Easter is the truth. And I am telling you right now, there are not going to be too many fights where Robert Easter's opponents are going to be that damn determined to win as Richard COMMEY was. There's a lot of fighters out there, but I truly believe under that pressure that COMMEY was putting on Robert Easter, I believe a lot of fighters, they would have buckled under pressure and they would have started to concede as the rounds progress. What that basically means is you have a lot of fighters that, you know, psychologically become defeated in the middle of the fight. Once they realize this guy's too clever, he's too slick, he's outthinking me, now I'm frustrated and he has power, let me just cruise to the finish line. A lot of fighters, they concede that way. This is not what Robert Easter did in this fight. And this is what makes his win so impressive. He did not back down. He fought harder. Every time Robert Easter got caught with a good shot, he came back and he landed a good shot. And the same thing goes for Richard COMMEY. Every time Robert Easter thought he had COMMEY hurt, COMMEY would come back throwing bombs. You know, in the first couple rounds, it was impressive because it was interesting, I should say, because it was a time where Robert Easter, he was trying to really impose his will on Richard COMMEY. He was trying to apply a lot of pressure. And even though Robert Easter is the tall, lanky fighter who could easily just control a fighter from the outside all night, that's not Robert Easter. Robert Easter, he likes to fight on the inside and the outside. So in the first, I think the first round or the second round, Robert Easter, he was actually trying to fight on the inside, and you could tell he was basically trying to do to COMMEY the same thing he did to Arguedas Mendez. When Robert Easter, when he had Mendez on the ropes, that's how he knocked him out, with a vicious left hook. I think it was a left hook, but he knocked him out with a power shot while Mendez was on the ropes. He tried to do the same thing against COMMEY, but once again, COMMEY's resistance level was just off the chart, okay? Because basically, when Robert Easter went on the inside dropping them bombs, COMMEY was right there with him dropping his own bombs. So after a while, Robert Easter, he realized plan A is not working. So Robert Easter, he went to plan B. And that's when he started, sticking behind his jab. He started setting up beautiful right hands with that jab. And this is pretty much how he started to take over the fight. But even when he took over the fight, COMMEY was still in the fight. And COMMEY would come back and he would win a round every now and then, as you guys can see on the scorecards, because the scorecards were extremely close. Extremely close. I mean, actually, when I think about it, it was only, I think, what, a 1-point win, really. I believe Robert Easter, he won by 1 point, at least on one scorecard. I think it was, what was the scorecard? Let me think for a second. One judge had it 115-113 for Robert Easter. The other judge had it, what was it? I think the other judge had it 115-113 for COMMEY. And then the last judge had it 114-113, I believe. I believe that's how it was for Robert Easter. So guys, I could talk more about this fight, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because I haven't watched the Danny Jacobs versus Sergio Mora fight. Thank God for DVR, right? So that's pretty much all I got. I'm gonna work on this video, watch this main event, and I'll catch up with you guys. I'm on to the next one.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!